welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses. Now this week we are looking at a 2016 Mercedes CLS 350 CDI. It comes in two different body styles. You've either got this one, the coupe, or the shooting brake, which basically means it's an estate. The word shooting brake derives from the 1900s when they're talking about putting their hunting parties in the back of a sort of long-backed vehicle to take them shooting. So Mercedes still use it today. This particular model comes with a 3-litre V6 turbo diesel 24-valve engine. Now it only develops 258 brake horsepower, but a staggering 457 pounds-foot of torque. That's 620 newton meters of power. It comes with a 9-speed automatic Tiptronic gearbox, which means it gets you from 0 to 62 in 6.5 seconds to a top speed of a limited 155 miles an hour, but a claimed 51 miles to the gallon. Now we know by looking online that the real figure for that is actually 37 miles to the gallon. Now compare that to the BMW 640D, that has an 8-speed gearbox and develops 39 mpg. So what about tax? Well, being band F with just 142 CO2s, it comes out at just £145 a year. It sits right in the middle of the tree-hugging scale, so basically it doesn't spend all its time vomiting on polar bears, but at the same time it doesn't cuddle and kiss your neighbour's Japanese peace lily. However, discussing the issue with the owner of this particular car, he has confirmed that it did once vomit on a polar bear, but the next morning it tickled the leaves of his neighbour's oak tree, so redeemed itself. Like most cars in its class, this one is just shy of 5 metres long, 1.4 metres high and 1.8 metres wide, and weighs in at 1,845 kilos, similar to its BMW 640D counterpart. This one, being the AMG line model, comes with 19-inch wheels, 255 tyres on the front, and a whopping 285 on the back. So what about prices? Well, for this car, you're looking at around just shy of £52,000, but prices do start from £46,000 on the road. Now, this particular model, as Mercedes is a franchise dealer, you can go round to the franchise of your choice and see what deal you can get. And the owner of this car managed to get this one, 4 months old, with just 4,000 miles on the clock, for £38,500. Therefore, you shop around, there are savings to be had. As you can see, this car is huge on the outside. But is it huge on the inside? Well, when we open the boot, it is pretty big. However, one little niggle is you do have to pay extra to get the self-closing boot. Not a big issue, but when you do close it, you get this rattle from the number plate. Rear leg room, something that's very important in these luxury saloon cars. As you can see, a very luxurious interior, and when we get in the car, it feels very comfortable and snug, shall we say. Again, with my trusty tape measure, we can see that I have only 5.5 inches spare knee room. But why would I need more? The thing with this car is that it's not a 5-seater. Despite its outwardly appearance, it's only a 4-seater car. In place of the middle seat, you have this console arrangement. It's very handy. You do have cup holder, 12-volt supply, cubby holes for stuff, and if you pull this armrest down, not only do you have an armrest, but you also have more space for other stuff and more cup holders. Therefore, it's more of a luxurious limousine than it is a family saloon. But the main question is, what's it like to drive? Well, let's find out. Well, inside this car is very nice to drive. It's very smooth. Being a diesel, you can hardly hear it making its noise. I'm on a country road here and it's not the perfect kind of surface, but you just glide over it nice and smooth. It soaks up the bumps really well. Obviously, it does depend which mode you're in. This one has 3 different modes for the gearbox. You've got eco mode, you've got the normal mode, and you've got sport mode. At the moment, we're in eco, so it's soaking up the road nicely and propelling us along at a nice gentle 30 miles an hour. Now, something that is a little bit different to get used to is, you may have noticed, there is no gear stick in this car, and there's no handbrake. Now, that's not anything new, because in my Mercedes, which is 10 years old, there's no handbrake. It's operated on a foot pedal down next to where the clutch used to be in a manual. However, this one, the gear stick is on the column, like the Americans have. Now, obviously, for a British person, that's not necessarily easy to get used to, but it's not that difficult, let's be honest. Once you get used to knowing which direction to push and pushing it in for the park, you're good to go. Okay, having a multi-function steering wheel is pretty much par for the course in a lot of cars these days. This one, like many, have all the functions you can use for the stereo and the Bluetooth and the telephone, which you can also turn up and down with all the buttons on the steering wheel, like a lot of cars you get these days. It's just very convenient. But one thing this one also have is flappy paddle gearbox. Let's try that out, shall we? So the first thing we're going to do is push this button in the middle here, stick it in manual mode, and I can hear it tighten up, thinking, oh, yep, away you go. So all I do, put my foot down and flappy paddle my way up to 9th gear. Now, one function you do get on the steering wheel is linguatronic, which basically means you push this button, you select with the iDrive system what function you want, and you can control it with your voice, whether it's sat-nav, radio channels, air conditioning, whatever you want. One thing I should mention is that even though I call it the iDrive because the BMW sort of invented the iDrive system, in this car, Mercedes call it Command Me. So, I command you to go faster. And it does. Of course, I'm controlling that with my foot. It's not the actual linguatronic system. Okay, so sitting in the driver's seat, it's a very snug fit. It's not like the old Mercedes that we did before, where you're sitting in a comfortable, soft, massive seat. This one is very figure hugging. It's not uncomfortable, it's just more tight around your midriff. Now, sitting behind the steering wheel, this one has the AMG steering wheel because it's the AMG line model. But when you put your key in, it adjusts to how you want the steering wheel setting, and then it brings up this amazing display in front of you through the command system. When you're inside this car, you know you're in a luxury car. The dash is not just a dashboard, it's a soft padded dashboard. What I love most about this car is the clock from the 1940s on the dash here. Very elegant. But this screen here looks like you've got an iPad stuck to it, but it's like the BMW where it uses the iDrive system in the middle here. However, unlike the BMW, it's a lot easier to use. Like many modern cars, you get this control system in the middle. This one has DVD, CD player, sat-nav, all comes up on the screen. The telephone, But this car also comes with Bluetooth, like again, many modern cars, but also its own Wi-Fi hotspot. So what you find in this center console arrangement is USB, and on here, a slot for your SD card. What you do get is when you're not playing around with the Command Me function, you get the clocks on the system here. Now, you may think it's a useless thing to have because obviously the clocks are right in front of you, but it's quite handy for everybody else to see what speed you're doing, and it's just another feature that they add. You can change it, you don't have to have that, you can change it to anything you like. Once you get into the vehicle data, you can have a G meter. You can also tell you what's going on in the car. We've got here a G meter, so if we go around this corner here, it tells us we are doing 41% G in that direction. No idea what that means. The system also tells us how much fuel we're using. Again, I don't know why you would need that because I never had a problem driving before I knew all that information. But, you know, being in a modern age, we get to see everything about the car whilst we're driving. And who doesn't want to know that? It could be argued that that's just a distraction for the driver. Now, using the sat-nav system, it does, obviously, you can zoom in and it can tell you what road you're on and all that usual stuff. But if you zoom out, it actually uses Google Earth to show you where you are. Now that is actually quite a cool function, I must admit. I do like that a lot. So let's talk to the owner of this particular vehicle. Andy.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So, why did you choose this car when you had the choice of the BMW 640, the Audi A7, the Lexus GS, or the Jaguar XF?
There are a few reasons, Mark. The main reason I think is that the Mercedes just looks so nice. It certainly wins in the look scale. The BMW wasn't really a car that appealed. I think largely I find it very common. Everywhere you look there's a BMW.
Okay.
Admittedly everywhere you look there's a Mercedes, but you very rarely see a CLS. And in particular I wanted a white car, and I have yet to see one other car since I've had this in the 6 months.
That's very true. I've seen many of my old Mercedes, but you don't see many of these. Now, what I do like about this car is that whereas the old Mercedes had the sad, soppy front end, this one has a very aggressive, get out of my way, angry looking front end.
It does, and it's also got the Mercedes diamond grille, which is a stunning looking grille. So I think the updated version of this car really looks a lot more aggressive than the older version.
Okay, now with every car ownership, there's going to be something that you love the most and something that just slightly niggles. For you, what's the best feature of this car?
Well, taking out of it the looks, I think my favourite feature's got to be the headlight system. This is the LED adaptive headlights, and it just makes driving at night so easy.
Right.
I've never turned the car off full beam.
So this is the system that looks at what's coming and adjusts the headlights itself, blocking out the bit that's going to blind the person coming the other way.
It does.
Okay.
It does, and also the car that's ahead of you in traffic doesn't get blinded by your headlights.
So let's say at night time, you're in a car park full of white Mercedes. How do you find your particular car?
Well, as soon as you unlock the car, Mark, the Mercedes surround lighting kicks in, and it's a really cool feature.
Okay.
It's a gimmick, admittedly. Normally you unlock a car, you get a bleep and a flash of the headlights. This one, the adaptive lighting system here, has a glow that goes from white through to orange and through to blue. And it's, like I said, it's a bit of a gimmick, but it looks really cool.
Okay, now I hear that although you've got these nice lights on the front, you don't quite get the same on the light underneath the wing mirror.
This is true. It's nitpicking, admittedly, but when you do that at night and the car glows, these are LEDs, so they're a very, very clean, sharp light.
Right.
But the light underneath the wing mirror here, which lights the floor up, is an incandescent, so it's a little bit more of a yellow light. It doesn't match, but that's really a very, very small point.
Okay, fair enough. But obviously there's going to be something you don't like about this car.
There's always something, isn't there?
Sure.
I have really struggled to find anything I don't like about the car, and if I had to say one thing, I would say the eco button is slightly annoying. This is my first car with start-stop technology, so I'm fairly new to the idea, but I do find it a little annoying when you, for example, want to reverse into a car parking space, and as you stop, the engine turns off and then instantly cuts back on again as you put the car into reverse. You can switch that off, but if I had to suggest something to Mercedes, I would say make it a hard switch rather than a soft switch, or at least a switch that saves the position it was in before, because I like to have that switched off.
Right.
Because it does slightly annoy me when the engine cuts off and back on again when you're just going into a reversing manoeuvre.
Okay, well, thank you very much for letting us use your car today.
You're
It's
very
been
welcome.
a great pleasure. Thank you very much. So that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Please tune in next time when we'll have another car on Motors for the Masses. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.